Billy Luna.
I am the most persecuted man or accused organized crime member, OC guy accused, I say, in history.
A piece of the new exclusive John Gotti Jr. interview with rapper Berner just dropped early. I'm going to show it to you and I'm going to react to it, go through the whole thing. Who is Berner? Berner is a 40-year-old rapper entrepreneur who works with Wiz Khalifa. He signed to Wiz Khalifa's rap label. He's really, really rich. He's a huge entrepreneur in the green space. He owns a strain called Cookies. Used to be called Girl Scout Cookies. But I think in 2022, Forbes listed his company's worth at $150 million. I believe that he's much wealthier right now. He's a very wealthy individual. He's good friends with John Gotti Jr.
Please subscribe to the Billy Luna channel and like the video. Thank you.
He just conducted a 2-hour interview with John Gotti Jr. and he's going to be dropping it in pieces. This little piece that I'm going to show you and go over was dropped early because the next one isn't coming until Wednesday. So John Gotti Jr. says it. At first he says, I'm the most persecuted man in history, but he corrects himself and he says that he is the most persecuted organized crime guy in history, which, you know, it's interesting that he's referring to himself as an organized crime guy. Obviously, this is a very controversial topic. He has, according to him, left the mob and he has nothing to do with it anymore. He was allowed to leave. In the past, this is unusual because in the past, there's few people other than, say, the likes of Joe Bonanno that have been allowed to do that.
Billy Luna.
From stop to start, 37 months, 5 indictments. I've never seen it.
Insane.
I've never heard of it. And I've paralegaled all the cases.
Berner's response to how many cases he had in this period of time was, he said, insane. And, these cases, he was brought up on a lot of charges, racketeering, many, many, many different things. And of course, as you know, John A. Light was one of the witnesses that testified against him. His dad was John Joseph Gotti, the boss of the Gambino crime family. Junior was made at a very young age, Christmas Eve, 1988. And then 2 years later, in 1990, he was made captain of his crew. And some argue that he was the youngest capo or captain in Mafia history. And of course, we know about the details of his making ceremony because of Mikey DiLeonardo, and he was there. And Mikey says that Sammy the Bull Gravano oversaw the ceremony. He claims that it was because John Gotti Sr. wanted to avoid the look of nepotism. So Sammy pricked their fingers and swore them into the secret society. Of course, that night he swore an oath. People such as Skinny Joey Merlino have accused him of breaking his oath by speaking with the FBI. We'll get into this a little more later, though. So let's continue listening.
I've been doing this now since my 20s. My first trial, I was 22 years old. And I was on trial since I'm 22 years old. I had many cases. I had 9 indictments in my life, but 5 in 37 months. From stop to start, 5 federal indictments, okay? And I've never seen that. And we put that statistic, I put it in the back of my book, that in that course of those trials, that they used, I believe, 17 assistant U.S. attorneys, 17, 100 cooperating witnesses, and they forgave 110 murders.
So he talks about the statistics, and he basically broke them all down in the back of his book, In the Shadow of My Father, which is the book that I believe was loosely adapted for the movie Gotti, starring John Travolta. And so I think, John Jr. Gotti and the family kind of really had a big hand in that. And I know that they originally got a production company called Fiore Films to do it, a smaller kind of company. A lot of people were vying for the rights. They gave it to Fiore. Fiore, of course, in Italian means flower. And so then they got director Barry Levinson attached, very, very big time Academy Award winning director. Then I guess Levinson fell out, and director Kevin Conley, who played E on Entourage. He played the main character on Entourage's manager, E, and he ended up directing the movie Gotti. The movie Gotti was not very well received. It had very, very low Rotten Tomatoes, not very well received. And an interesting connection back to the beef, kind of the little beef that's brewing between John Gotti Jr. and Skinny Joey Merlino. Kevin Conley would go on to give Skinny Joey Merlino his start in podcasting, or with his the first iteration of the Skinny Joey Merlino podcast blog, which is The Skinny with Joey Merlino. Kevin Conley's company, Action Park Media, produced that. And of course, now they parted ways, I guess, sounding from what Skinny Joey says, somewhat amicably, but Joey's not working with Kevin Conley any longer. So, he talks about all these statistics about how many cooperating witnesses they used, and they forgave 110 murders. Those statistics are the scary ones, man. It's like the deals that the government cuts and who they cut these deals with. It's just, man, they are really making deals with the devil. And you think about, like, just to get, John Gotti Jr.'s father, John Gotti Sr., to get him, they had to just make deals with terrible people such as Sammy the Bull. And, we all know about his history, and we know that he killed an innocent kid named Alan Kaiser. So this is some problem we're going to get into a lot more on my channel about how, the federal government makes deals with, how many people, like how many murders was John Gotti Jr. accused of? I doubt it was 110, but they forgave 110 to catch him. So that's a really controversial topic we're going to get more into. John Gotti Jr., what is he going to talk about for the rest of the interview with Berner? Is he going to get into Joey Merlino? I don't know. Berner is a kind of a cool guy, and he's a friend of John Jr.'s, and he's not, a hard-nosed kind of journalist guy. Like, a journalist is going to probably have to ask him the question, like, what about Skinny Joey Merlino coming out against you? I wonder if that's going to be asked. And if it is asked, a lot of people who go up against Joey, or who Joey goes up against, and he usually accuses them of, working with the government and talking with the government. That's like that's something with Joey. That's just a non-starter with Joey. If you ever spoke to the government anyway, he is going to not want to deal with you. He's going to call you a rat. And that's what he has. He, in one of his biggest podcasts to date, Joey accused John Gotti Jr. of being, quote unquote, 1000% a rat. Now, what a lot of people do when Joey accuses them of this, and what a lot of Joey's enemies that he's made, such as, like, say, Michael Franzese, what they do is they come back and say, well, you know what? When I was in the Mafia, I never would have had a YouTube channel or a podcast. Now, so I don't know if John Gotti Jr. is going to broach this topic. And if he does, I don't think that he can really use that to go against Joey, because he's really in this. We're seeing him sit right here for a interview and a podcast. And it's not the first one he's done. The most notable probably being 60 Minutes. So, John Gotti Jr.'s defense against Joey's accusations that he was a cooperator or a rat is that, he toyed with the government, and he never ever went on to, like, really testify. And, Joey's like, no, you sat down. It's a 302. It's a proffer session. But Gotti and the Gotti camp say, no, it wasn't. And, so I know he's going to get into that. I wonder if he's going to get into the beef with Skinny Joey Merlino. It's kind of a popular beef, obviously. I think that this podcast is going to be huge. I think this Berner thing is going to be big. Berner, as I mentioned, is, he's a rapper. He's signed with Wiz Khalifa's label, but more than that, Berner is a super, super rich guy. Berner has he's got 1 million subscribers on YouTube, which is, decent. But then on Instagram, Berner's got 2 million subscribers. He's got a big footprint, and he's got a lot of power, a lot of money behind him. I had the feeling this cat kind of does what he pleases. And I know that he and John Gotti Jr. are very close. And so, this ultimately was a 2-hour interview. They're going to break up into pieces, and very interested to see how it goes. I want to see if he does address any of his enemies or people that have dissed him, such as Skinny Joey Merlino, and then I would be interested to see the response. I'm going to keep you abreast of all of the drops with this interview with John Gotti Jr. and Berner. So let me know in the comments what you think about all of this, okay? Let me know if you're Team Gotti, if you're Team Joey, where you stand, how excited you are for this Berner interview. What are your thoughts about the principles involved? I want to know what you guys all think about everything. Also, let me drop this disclaimer. I'm just going to get something out there. In the comments, there's going to be Skinny Joey Merlino people that are going to come at me for doing this. And then there's going to be John Gotti Jr. people coming at me for doing this. Let me explain to you where I stand on these things, okay? I'm a journalist and I am an observer. And I'm just observing and I'm reporting back to you. So, I want to know what you all think. And I want to hear discussions from both sides. And I want to kind of encourage that kind of interesting back and forth.
Billy Luna.
Please subscribe to the Billy Luna channel and like the video. Thank you.